listening to the Stories of Subi podcast, which has been produced for the Subi East project. The Stories of Subi are brought to you by DevelopmentWA in collaboration with Creating Communities Australia. The Subi East area has a rich history, and we're bringing you conversations with the people who can provide interesting perspectives on the great memories, history and changes they've seen. John Todd is a legend of the Western Australian football scene. He became the youngest ever recipient of the heralded Sandover Medal in 1955 when he was just 17 years old. He's had a long and successful coaching career. He led the West Coast Eagles in their formative years, taking the team to their first finals, and speaks fondly of the years he spent at Subi Oval. John, what was it like when you were 17 years old being handed with the Sandover Medal?
I very shy lad, and winning that honour at a very tender age was difficult for me, but I've never doubted my ability. As a young lad coming through, I was born with a gift, and I was prepared to dedicate myself to be the best I could possibly be. And so I won a lot of awards on the way through, and in 1952, that was my first ever game at Subiaco. I captained the state schoolboys against Victoria, which we were successful. From there it started to, I had a love of Subiaco.
Were you always obsessed with footy?
Yeah, I came from a family that didn't have any money, so my first football was bundling up socks, tying them together and kicking them around the house and out the backyard. So when I did eventually get a football, I slept with it and it was part of my life.
Give us a sense of how big Waffle was, the WA footy scene.
Oh, yeah, it was huge because a lot of rivalry between clubs and a lot of folklore who went to the footy. It was either they barracked for South Fremantle or East Fremantle, so there was a lot of banter through the course of the day. Crowds were enormous, and it was a relief for a lot of people on the weekends to go to the footy. It was great, and it was a competition that everybody looked up to, and we developed many champions, and there was very many great teams. The supporters got a lot of joy out of supporting their Waffle club.
You've had a lot of success, a lot of premierships in your career.
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate. I coached East Fremantle to a premiership in '74, and that was my very first one, and they hadn't won a premiership for 9 years. So after that, I was fortunate enough to be appointed coach of Swan Districts, and they hadn't won a premiership for 19 years. And we won three on end up there, and so I was there at Subiaco Oval at precious time when we were playing for the silverware. At Swan Districts, we had a lot of success. We had a lot of trauma early, like people look at the success side of it, but they don't look at the beginning. And the beginning at Swans, I think my first 50 games I coached them, I think we won 5 games. To build a club and with the support of great people who were involved, I'm talking about committee, and particularly a man by the name of John Cooper who supported me, and they were pretty lowly ranked, Swan District. So to have them in the finals for 12 years, and we played in 5 grand finals and won 4 of them, so I didn't suffer a lot of heartache after a grand final. We only lost 1, or I was involved in losing 1 only out of the 7 appearances I went to at Subiaco Oval. So, when you look back, I was fortunate enough to coach teams through 3 decades. That was 70s, 80s and 90s. I don't think that'll be repeated.
How did you see the scene change?
There's always going to be change, nothing stays the same. And when the AFL was introduced, naturally players were keen to play at the highest level. And I encouraged them to do that because, that was my ambition as a young lad, to play at the highest level possible. But after winning the Sandover Medal, and I damaged my knee very badly in '56, so I'd only played 28 games, and I was told that I'd never play again, but I wasn't prepared to accept that. So I played with great difficulty with a knee bandage from the Harlem Globetrotters, who were in town at the time, and this Goose Tatum was wearing this big cumbersome bandage, and So we inquired about it and we arranged to get one from America. So I played in that bandage to try and give myself some confidence that I could play again. After winning the Sandover Medal and being fairest and best and representing the state in my very first year, all my dreams were shattered. I had to go back and play Colts, which is under 18 football, to see whether I could play a game with this cumbersome bandage and having one side of me carrying weight and the other side not. So I eventually staggered to 132 games. So I played virtually another 100 games after that, virtually on one leg. And I was never the same after that. That was the sad part about it. I couldn't play with the same freedom that I had previously, but I was fortunate enough to win another 2 fairest and best. I made an All-Australian side in 1961, so it wasn't all loss, but I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve as a footballer.
So you could see that in young footy players coming up, that they had that same passion you did and they wanted to play.
You can pick the ones that want to. You know, some of them become social footballers, but the ones that really want to be the best they can possibly be, they're the ones you enjoy coaching because, you know, they want to do their very best. And my theory was the only thing that will let a coach down are players, if allowed. So the disciplines had to be there and players had to conform and abide by the rules that were put in place. So that was my theory on coaching.
Is that your secret, do you think, to winning all those premierships?
I think without discipline, we don't achieve much. I had strong disciplines that I put in place, and the players knew that. And I think if you want to be successful, you've got to have a group of men that are on the same page that want to share the silverware.
Do you feel a sense of place?
Look, Subiaco Oval was my oval. I loved it. I had a lot of success there. I was fortunate enough to coach Western Australia to become Australian champions on 2 occasions in 83 and 84. Subiaco was, you know, really a special oval, as you can imagine for me. Optus Oval is not my oval. You know, I think it's a fantastic stadium, but I think young people will build their own tradition. And I'm speaking on behalf of all the oldies. They'll all tell you that Subiaco Oval was the mecca of football in Western Australia. And, you know, they used to go to the footy and stand on their crates. But the crowds were huge, grand finals, you know. We would get 50,000 odd people to watch our grand finals. And as long as we can maintain our history and never forget that the Waffle and Subiaco had a great connection. And there'll be fond memories from all of us, you know. I'm now 82 years of age and I won't be around forever, so all the things I'm talking about will go with me to my grave, and many other people who had the same privileges that Subiaco offered them will no doubt never, ever lose the excitement that we all had at Subiaco Oval.
Thanks for listening to the Stories of Subi podcast. It was created by Creating Communities Australia for DevelopmentWA.